For we know that to those who love God, he causes all things to work together for good, to those who are the called according to his purpose. Just one thing to emphasize. Those who love God and those who are the called according to his purpose are the same group. They're the same group. So that means the loving God part is the result of his having called us. You can tell where somebody is in their understanding of grace if when they read a verse like this, their first thought is, oh, I've chosen to love God, and therefore he has chosen me as a result. You can tell where somebody is if that's what they think. And it makes me wonder, do you know your own heart? Do you know the depth of your own sin? The reason you love God. What does 1 John say? We didn't love him first. He loved us first. We love him because he first loved us. And so the point is, in Romans 8, those two groups are equal to one another. They're the same group. But it exists because of the result of God's grace. And all things work together. That's the term for synergism. That's the Greek word synergism. They work together for good. God causes that to happen. Why? Because those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, so that he might be the firstborn amongst many brothers. Once again, very briefly, foreknow does not mean to know a fact beforehand. This is an active verb. Every time God does it, it's a person that he knows. It's either Jesus, Israel, or the elect. This is not God looking down the corridors of time and learning something. This is God choosing. This is God loving. When Adam knew Eve, she conceived a child. God says of Israel, you only have I known. He knew about all the other nations on the globe. He created them. But he chose to enter into covenant relationship with one. Those whom he foreknew, he predestined, not just simply to give them a ticket to heaven, but to conform them the image of his Son. There is a purpose in all of this. There is a purpose that God is accomplishing to his glory. And it is making the body of Christ, conforming us to the image of his Son, the incarnate God-man, so that he might be the firstborn, the one having preeminence amongst many brothers. Many brothers. And then you have the golden chain. For those whom he predestined, these he also called. And those whom he called, these he also justified. Those whom he justified, these he also glorified. You already know this, but I'll repeat it. You cannot break this chain as Paul writes it without contradicting the apostle. He is very specific. He is very clear in the language and grammar that he uses. That this is the same group all the way through. All those predestined are called. All those who are called are justified. All who are justified are glorified. This is the golden chain. This is God's work of redemption. It is not an exhaustive description of everything that God does. But it is the foundation that Paul is giving to the church at Rome to recognize that this work of salvation is divine. It is powerful. It is what God does. It is not a hoped-for thing. It is what God is doing to glorify himself.